Samsy. Story time with Ronnie. Hey guys. Oh, what are we doing? Oh, journey to the center of the earth. Part 34. All right, this drive. We starting out in Cortez, Colorado. And we just gonna boogie on through town here, and we're gonna head on down the road towards Mancos. We don't actually make it into Mancos, but that little picture you saw at the front there was where we're heading to. So when we get in there, we'll do a little bit better about how it is at the RV park that we stayed at. But for now, this story, journey to the center of the earth. Now they were on their raft and they was floating around. Well, they was going at not ludicrous speed, but dang near ludicrous speed, and they were just getting tired of being on the water. And then all of a sudden they started to see animals, giant lizards, sea lizards, terrible crocodiles, a whale, this kind of thing. So I will pick it up there and we'll dabble in some more of this drive every now and again. It's a dark, gloomy day. Oh, well, let's just start out like that. Let's just start out talking about this little drive right through this little town here. And I always keep telling, I'm going to harp on it just a little bit more. If you're in a truck, if you're in an RV, unless you're turning off to the right, unless you're trying to look for a parking spot, get out of that curbside lane. You can see how tight it is in there. And, people will be walking right there. They step out from in between them cars and stuff. You just got a much better chance of not having a bad day if you stick over here. You're going through. There's no reason for you to be over there. All right, that's today's tip. Again, okay, now this story. Fearful creatures, all kinds of. There was a whale. Okay, here we go. So we stood, still surprised, stupefied, terror-stricken at the sight of this group of fearful marine monsters, more hideous in the reality than in my dream. They were of supernatural dimensions. The very smallest of the whole party could, with ease, have crushed our raft and ourselves with a single bite. Hans, seizing the rudder, which had flown out of his hand, put it hard aweather in order to escape from such dangerous vicinity. But no sooner does he do so than he finds he is flying from Scylla to oh boy. You're going to have to start looking this stuff up already. I just barely got started here. Charybdis. All right, I'll go look it up. Give me a second. It's nothing like that. It's Charybdis. And I even got what the heck it is. Charybdis is a sea monster from Greek mythology. Well, personified as a massive whirlpool that swallows and regurgitates the sea 3 times a day, posing a deadly threat to ships in the Strait of Messina. Oh, opposite the monster Scylla, originally a nymph, she was transformed into a monster by Zeus as punishment for helping her father. Poseidon, flood lands, and her insatiable thirst for water became her curse. She is famously featured in Homer's Odyssey, where Odysseus must navigate between her and Scylla, leading to the idiom between Scylla and Charybdis, choosing between 2 evils. Holy Liechtenstein. You guys get that one? Boy, we learned some shit today. All right. Charybdis. All right, here we go now. Find yourself flying from Scylla to Charybdis. Oh, so like from the frying pan to the fire. Let's leave it at that one. To leeward is a turtle about 40 feet wide, and a serpent quite as long, with an enormous and hideous head peering out from the waters. Look, which way we will, it is impossible for us to fly. The fearful reptiles advanced upon us. They turned and twisted about the raft with awful rapidity. They formed around our devoted vessel in a series of concentric circles. I took up my rifle in desperation, but what effect can a rifle ball produce upon the armor scales with which the bodies of these horrid monsters are covered? We remained still and dumb from outer horror. They advanced upon us. Nearer and nearer, our fate appears certain, fearful and terrible. On one side, the mighty crocodile. On the other, the great sea serpent. The rest of the fearful crowd of marine prodigies have plunged beneath the briny waves and disappeared. I am about at all risks to fire and try the effect of a shot. Hans the guide, however, interfered by a sign to check me. The two hideous and ravenous monsters passed within 50 fathoms of the raft, and then made a rush at one another. Their fury and rage prevented them from seeing us. The combat commenced. We distinctly made out every action of the two hideous monsters, but to my excited imagination, the other animals appeared about to take part in the fierce and deadly struggle. The monster, the whale, the lizard, and the turtle. I distinctly saw them every moment. I pointed them out to the Icelander, but he only shook his head. "Tva," he said. "What? Two? Only does he say?" "Surely he is mistaken," I cried in a tone of wonder. "He is quite right," replied my uncle, coolly and philosophically, examining the terrible duel with his telescope, and speaking as if he were in a lecture room. "How can that be?" "Yes, it is so. The first of these hideous monsters has the snout of a porpoise, the head of a lizard, and the teeth of a crocodile. And it is this that has deceived us. It is the most fearful of all antediluvian reptiles, the world-renowned something saurus. I think he's saurus, that's the guy. Or great fish lizard. And the other? The other is a monstrous serpent, concealed under the hard vaulted shell of the turtle, the terrible enemy of its fearful rival, the Plesiosaurus. Yeah, okay, that sounds pretty. I think that's probably right. I think that's probably right. Or sea crocodile. Hans was quite right. The two monsters only disturbed the surface of the sea. At last, we have mortal eyes gazed upon the two reptiles of the great primitive ocean. I see the flaming red eyes of I'm going to have to look this word up. All right, let me look this word up. I'll be right back. Here it is, guys. I think we're going to play it short and just call it Icky. But it's Ichthyosaurus. Yeah, I think so too. Each as big or bigger than a man's head. What is? Oh, the flaming red eyes. Okay, yeah, geez, yeah, I guess that's pretty big. Nature, in its infinite wisdom, has gifted this wondrous marine animal with an optical apparatus of extreme power, capable of resisting the pressure of the heavy layers of water which rolled over him in the depths of the ocean, where he usually fed. It has, by some authors, truly been called the whale of the saurian race, for it is as big and quick in its motions as our king of the seas. This one measures not less than 100 feet in length, and I can form some idea of its girth when I see him lift his prodigious tail out of the water. His jaw is of awful size and strength, and, according to the best informed naturalists, it does not contain less than 182 teeth. Somebody counted that, huh? The other was the mighty, we're going to have to go find this word now. Plesiosaurus. Let's just do Plesiosaurus. Oh, you know what? As wrong as I was on the other ones, I better go check. Hang on. It wasn't all that bad. It was Plesiosaurus, a serpent with a cylindrical trunk, with a short, stumpy tail, with fins like a bank of oars in a Roman galley. Its whole body covered with a carapace, or shell, and its neck, as flexible as that of a swan, rose more than 30 feet above the waves, a tower of animated flesh. These animals attacked one another with inconceivable fury. Such a combat was never seen before by mortal eyes, and to us, who did see it, it appeared more like the phantasmagoric creation of a dream than anything else. They raised mountains of water, which dashed in spray over the raft, already tossed to and fro by the waves. 20 times we seemed on the point of being upset and hurled headlong into the waves. Hideous hisses appeared to shake the gloomy granite roof of that mighty cavern. Hisses which carried terror to our hearts. The awful combatants held each other in a tight embrace. I could not make out one from the other. Still, the combat could not last forever, and woe unto us, whichever became the victor. All right, let's take a look. Oh, we pulled in at, there's a little, a brand new little, kind of little rest area spot. I'm sure we're looking at Mesa Verde. It's right over here. But as we're going to the RV park, I kind of like to stop and before we get in there, because we got dogs, so we'll go out and walk around and let them do their thing before we get to this RV park, where we're not quite sure what the situation will be, but we know that there's going to be some people watching, as you know, because I'm pretty sure it's everybody kind of likes to watch the new people come in. So, okay, now where were we? Near, whichever came upon us. Oh yeah, whoever wins gets to eat us as their reward. I'm guessing that's what's going on there. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours passed away without any decisive result. The struggle continued with the same deadly tenacity. What? Without apparent result. The deadly opponents now approached, now drew away from the raft. Once or twice we fancied that they were about to leave us altogether, but instead of that, they came nearer and nearer. We crouched on the raft, ready to fire at them at a moment's notice. Poor as the prospect of hurting or terrifying them was, still, we were determined not to perish without a struggle. Suddenly, the Ichthyosaurus, I'm not sure I got that one right again, and oh boy, here we go again. The Plesiosaurus disappeared beneath the waves. Is it Ichthyosaurus, man? I gotta look. I lost my path again. What is it? Oh, it's Ichthyo. Ichthyo. We gonna call him Icky. That's right. That's right. We said we're gonna call him Icky. Okay. Suddenly, Icky and the Picky disappeared beneath the waves. leaving behind them a maelstrom in the midst of the sea. We were very nearly drawn down by the indraught of the water. Several minutes elapsed before anything was again seen. Was this wonderful combat to the end in the depths of the ocean? Was the last act of this terrible drama to take place without spectators? It was impossible for us to say. Suddenly, at no great distance from us, an enormous mass rises out of the waters, the head of the great Plesiosaurus. Let's see if I can... Yeah. The terrible monster is now wounded unto death. I can see nothing now of his enormous body. All that could be distinguished was his serpent-like neck, which he twisted and curled in all the agonies of death. Now he struck the waters with it as if it had been a gigantic whip, and then again wriggled like a worm cut in two. The water was spurting up to a great distance in all directions. A great portion of it swept over our raft and nearly blinded us. But soon the end of the beast approached nearer and nearer. His movements slackened visibly. His contortions almost ceased, and at last the body of the mighty snake lay an inert, dead mass on the surface of the now calm and placid waters. As for Icky, he had gone down to his mighty cavern under the sea to rest. Or will he reappear to destroy us? This question remained unanswered, and we had breathing time. Whew, that's the end of that chapter. Well, we're not done with old Ichthyosaurus, though. Ichthyosaurus. Boy, I'm not going to say that. We're just going to keep calling him Icky. All right, chapter 31. The Sea Monster. Wednesday, October 21st. Fortunately, the wind, which at the present blows with great violence, has allowed us to escape from the scene of the unparalleled and extraordinary struggle. Hans, with his usual imperturbable calm, remained at the helm. My uncle, who, for a short time, had been withdrawn from his absorbing reverie by the novel incidents of the sea fight, fell back again, apparently into a brown study. All this time, however, his eyes were fixed impatiently on the widespread ocean. Our voyage now became monotonous and uniform, dull as it has become. I have no desire to have it broken by any repetition of the perils and adventures of yesterday. Thursday, August 22nd. The wind is now north-northeast and blows very irregularly. It has changed to fitful gusts. The temperature is exceedingly high. We are now progressing at the average rate of about 10.5 per hour. About 12 o'clock, a distant sound as of thunder fell upon our ears. I make a note of the fact without even venturing or suggestion as to its cause. It was one continued roar, as of a sea falling over mighty rocks. Far off in the distance, said the professor, dogmatically, there is some rock or some island against which the sea, lashed to fury by the wind, is breaking violently. Hans, without saying a word, clambered to the top of the mast, but could make out nothing. The ocean was level in every direction, as far as the eye could reach. 3 hours passed away without any sign to indicate what might be before us. The sound began to assume that of a mighty cataract. I expressed my opinion on this point strongly to my uncle. He merely shook his head. I, however, am strongly impressed by the conviction that I am not wrong. Are we advancing toward some mighty waterfall which shall cast us into the abyss? Probably this mode of descending into the abyss may be agreeable to the professor, because it would be something like the vertical descent he is so eager to make. I entertain a very different opinion. Let's just take another look at this drive. There's a little door up there. We're caravanning on this trip because nobody seems to be able to make a van that you can tow behind Whatever the truth, it is certain that not many leagues distant there must be some extraordinary phenomena. For as we advance, the roar becomes something mighty and stupendous. It is in the water or in the air. I cast hasty glances aloft at the suspended vapors, and I seek to penetrate their mighty depths. But the vault above is tranquil. The clouds, which are now elevated to the very summit, appear utterly still and motionless, and completely lost in the irradiation of the electric light. It is necessary, therefore, to seek for the cause of this phenomenon elsewhere. I examine the horizon, now perfectly calm, pure, and free from all haze. Its aspect still remains unchanged. But if this awful noise proceeds from a cataract, if, so to speak in plain English, this vast interior ocean is precipitated into a lower basin, if these tremendous roars are produced by the noise of falling waters, the current would increase in activity, and all increasing swiftness would give me some idea of the extent of the peril with which we are menaced. Let's take another look. Okay, yeah, nothing real exciting. This US 160 out of Cortez, from Cortez to Durango, I guess it goes up past the rest of it over there, Pagosa Springs and whatnot, is it's a nice big road. It's a nice big old road. It's a little fast, 65 mile an hour. So, you know, legitimately that's 70, 75 for the locals. Menaced. Okay, I consult the current. It simply does not exist. There is no such thing. An empty bottle cast into the water lies to leeward without motion. About 4 o'clock, Hans rises, clambers up the mast, and reaches the truck itself. From this elevated position, his looks are cast around. They take in a vast circumference of the ocean. At last his eyes remain fixed. His face expresses no astonishment, but his eyes slightly dilate. "He has seen something at last," cried my uncle. "I think so," I replied. Hans came down, stood beside us, and pointed with his right hand to the south. "Dear near," he said. "There?" replied my uncle, and, seizing his telescope, he looked at it with great attention for about a minute, which to me appeared an age. I knew not what to think or expect. "Yes, yes," he cried, in a tone of considerable surprise. "There it is!" "What?" I asked. "A tremendous spurt of water rising out of the waves." "Some other marine monster?" I cried, already alarmed. "Perhaps. Then let us steer more to the westward, for we know what we have to expect from antediluvian animals," was my eager reply. Go ahead, said my uncle. I turned toward Hans. Hans was at the tiller, steering, with his usual imperturbable calm. Nevertheless, if, from the distance which separated us from this creature, a distance which must be estimated at not less than a dozen leagues, and this spurting of water proceeded from the pranks of some antediluvian animal, its dimensions must be something preternatural. To fly is, therefore, the course to be suggested by ordinary prudence. But we have not come into that part of the world to be prudent. Such is my uncle's determination. We accordingly continue to advance. The nearer we come, the loftier is the spouting water. What monster can fill himself with such huge volumes of water, and then increasingly spout them out in such lofty jets? Let's take a look. Did we go? Yeah, okay, we're just going to go up the hill here. And, oh yeah, there's a little rest area on the left over there. And we just got just about ready to go up past Mesa Verde. And nice cloudy day, always nice and cloudy. We don't get a lot of that in the Valley of Phoenix there. So whenever you see rain and clouds, it's like, oh, it's a joyous thing. It's a joyous thing. At 8 o'clock in the evening, reckoning as above ground, where there is day and night, we are not more than 2 leagues from the mighty beast. Its long, black, enormous, mountainous body lays on the top of the water like an island. But then sailors have been said to have gone ashore on sleeping whales, mistaking them for land. I guess it's that song, hey, what do you do with a drunken sailor? Well, you send him off on a whale. Is it illusion or is it fear? Its length cannot be less than 1,000 fathoms. 1,000 fathoms. What, then, is this Cretaceous monster, of which no Cuvier ever thought? It is quite motionless, and presents the appearance of sleep. The sea seems unable to lift him upwards. It is rather the waves which break on his huge and gigantic frame. The waterspout, rising to the height of 500 feet, breaks in spray with a dull, sullen roar. We advance like senseless lunatics towards this mighty mass. I honestly confess that I was abjectly afraid. I declared that I would go no further. I threatened in my terror to cut the sheet of the sail. I attacked the professor with considerable acrimony, calling him foolhardy, mad, I know not what. He made no answer. Suddenly, the imperturbable Hans once more pointed his finger toward the menacing object. "Home, an island!" cried my uncle. "An island?" I replied, shrugging my shoulders at this poor attempt of deception. "Of course it is!" cried my uncle, bursting into a loud and joyous laugh. "But the waterspout?" "Geyser," said Hans. "Yes, of course, a geyser," replied my uncle, still laughing. "A geyser like those common in Iceland. Jets like this are the great wonders of the country." At first, I would not allow that I had been so grossly deceived. What could be more ridiculous than to have taken an island for a marine monster? But, kick as one may, one must yield to evidence, and I was finally convinced of my error. It was nothing, after all, but a natural phenomenon. All right. You know what? All right. Let's just take a look at it. We might just knock it off right there, because we're getting pretty close. We're getting pretty close to the end of this thing, and we're getting pretty close to Mancos Valley. And the next one, we'll get into Mancos town itself, and then we'll pull into the little RV park, and we'll do a little bit there. It's a nice little park. Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming along. Sam C. And we'll just that little picture there was one of the pictures of the park there. You can see they take some pretty good sized rigs there. That was triple axle toy hauler there. Okay, hello Rosie. Give me the good stuff, baby. Oh yeah. Yeah, you look pretty happy about it too, 'cause I am. Thank you.